The year was 1986. I did some research. A gallon of gasoline cost 89 cents. The average cost of a new home in the United States was just over $89,000.
Mecca in the Valley of the Sun, it's Phoenix, Arizona, one of the country's fastest growing and most attractive cities. A few miles to the east, an equally dynamic locale featuring a fascinating blend of cultures, lifestyles, architecture, and higher learning. It's the campus of Arizona State University, one of the finest educational institutions in the West.
In the far southwestern corner of the United States, a certain college football team was about to embark on a journey that would take them to a place that no Arizona State Sun Devil team had ever been before.
Welcome to the Devil House, home of Arizona State Sun Devil football.
The fun comes from winning. If you work hard in practice, good things happen for you in a ball game. We work hard. We've got good practice habits and good work habits, good ethics, but it's got to be fun. But the fun comes from playing in front of 70,000 screaming Sun Devil fans and going to the Rose Bowl.
We gathered together here today to celebrate the 1986 ASU football team and the 30th anniversary of that team's trip to and victory in the 73rd Rose Bowl game.
This Arizona State team made history, and to be part of that and come back after 30 years and see all these guys, the price that they paid to win a championship, it was paid together, and there's a connection and a love for each other that only champions have. And to be here and see that, and see these guys reconnect, just like they saw each other yesterday, even though some of them hadn't seen each other in 20 years.
As I'm coming over, you think about the first time I came when I was 17 years old, and to get here and everything is familiar. And I have 4 boys, so we come over maybe once or twice a year to see the games. But it's a little different when you come over and you know you're going to see all those guys from the team.
There's guys I haven't seen. I haven't seen them in 30 years since the Rose Bowl, because some were seniors and went on. You keep in touch, or you try to on by phone, but I've been looking forward to this. I mean, like I said, Darrell Harris got here today. I hadn't seen him in a while since our Viking days or the last golf tournament. Ryan McReynolds and all those guys. That were the young kids that came in with my brother when he came in and he was part of that. I mean, just to catch up and see find out what all the guys are doing now today how can you not come back to this?
It's a great opportunity to come back and be with family. I mean, these guys are family guys that I was in the trenches with. They're their brothers, and it's just a great opportunity to come back and just have this fellowship and this environment. I'm honored. I mean, the fact that, I'm 50 years old, I had a great opportunity of playing college football, something that I thought I would never do in my entire life, and it's like it was a dream come true. And to be part of the Rose Bowl, be part of the Freedom Bowl, the Holiday Bowl, 3 bowl teams, that was a great opportunity.
It just brings back so many great memories, and it's always an opportunity to kind of link up with just not the football team, but the whole alumni association. So they do an outstanding job of reaching out to fellow alumni all over the country.
It's a great time in my life. It's like I said, it was the pinnacle of our football careers here, and it's historical, and that's why we're here. And it was a wonderful time, and it was great fellowship with the players and the coaches and the staff, and it was a bond that can't be broken. We're all 87 Rose Bowl champions, and that's something that we all have in common.
Execution, balance, fundamental football. Watchwords of an offense that annually ranks near the top of the mighty Pac-10. The secret? Why, it's no secret at all. Simply 100% mental and physical preparedness. The scoreboard tells the story.
We're the only team to do it, so it's kind of, in one way, it's disheartening to see that we haven't accomplished that feat since then. So, I mean, we would like to see another team get to that point and experience what we went through during that time. It's something you can never take away.
We always said ASU is a gold mine. And we never felt that we get the recognition that like the Notre Dames, the SCs, and Alabamas, because no one never sees us play. Because a lot of times our games are so late, 7:30 at night, you know, the whole rest of the country is asleep.
We were underdogs in the Rose Bowl. We weren't expected to win, which gave us more fire. That, you know, we knew we had to work even harder.
We had a great group of guys. We were great football players, but the guys were great guys, first off. We had a really good team. I remember when Coach Cooper came in and he was letting us know what he expected out of us and everything, and I was one of the captains, and I said, Coach, you don't have to worry about that. You walked into one of the best programs you'll ever see. You just have to point us in the right direction, and he did.
We were a talented group of people, basically from California with a little sprinkled in from Arizona. And the mentality was more, hey, you get your years here in Arizona State and then you go to the NFL. You know, that was kind of mindset. Coach Cooper came in and changed the whole dynamic. It was more, hey, you're at a great spot. You have a great opportunity. You know, take advantage of the opportunity right now. You know, don't leave here and say, you know, what if, and oh, we almost got there, and you know, take this great opportunity you have here and be excited about where you are. Really have pride in this school and this program.
On both sides of the football, these people are living, breathing examples of teamwork and dedication.
The offense we run here at ASU is kind of like a pro set they run in professionals. So it's getting me prepared for what's coming up in the future, and I'm just enjoying it right now because I know it's tough, harder work up ahead. I had 5 good years since I've been here, and I enjoyed it, and I wouldn't go any other place from here, so it worked out well for me coming here at ASU.
ASU long ago established itself as an outstanding football program. Under John Cooper, it has become a much-admired total program, the finest in academic support, sports medicine, strength and conditioning, a total university experience. In the mountains of northern Arizona, Camp Tontozona, the finest, best equipped, and only university-owned training center in college football. A unique opportunity to focus and recharge for the coming campaign.
My freshman year, I know when we got here, it was kind of a disappointing season, so we made a commitment to each other to come in, prepare to compete, and that's what we did. Year in and year out, we competed.
Coming into the season, I mean, our internal expectations were high. Whether or not, you know, national media thought that was going to occur, you know, was a different story.
It just left that empty feeling for the entire off season, to where you never let up. You continued to work harder and harder and harder because you didn't get it done the year before. You know, it was given to you, you had a chance, and it slipped away. And there's nothing more regretful than a missed opportunity.
We all looked at each other and knew that this was our last shot.
This group was very sure about themselves. They knew that they had a special team.
We load up the buses for our trip to Tontozona, and when we arrive, there's this huge banner, and it says, under construction, building a Pac-10 champion.
The place is unique in many ways because of the scenery, the setting of a field in the middle of 2 mountains, the weather, just entirely overall, it's just, I don't think there's anybody else that can compare it to what we have here, and the concentration level is so high that there is nothing else that distracts you from what you want to come up here to learn, which is football, and that's it.
And you could just tell with all the players that you had this sense of just, you know, grit, for lack of a better word. It was never again, never again. It's never going to happen again. We're going to get it done this year.
We had a great workout summer. We all stayed in. We went to school. We lifted weights. We did 7-on-7. So we trained hard all summer long.
I have pictures that we all sat around at the river soaking our sore bodies, you know, at night, because we had 3-a-days. There were no, you know, just practice once and you're done. We practiced 3-a-days in pads, and we were up in Tontozona for 11 days. And I truly think that's one of the things that brought us together, that made us stronger, that made us understand that no matter how tired you are, there's something still left in you.
Coach Cooper, when he first took over, one of the things he made everybody do is we had to look at Cush Mountain, but we had to climb the next mountain to the right at Tontozona, and they wanted us to go a little bit higher, exceed what Cush had done.
Never forget holding hands at the top of Cush Mountain, singing the fight song. It gives me chills right now thinking about it. We knew it was going to be a special year.
I don't remember having to motivate these guys in any way. I mean, they just went and they played, and they had limits that they had set for themselves, but they just were going to reach those limits. And you didn't have to ask them, you didn't have to beg them. They knew they were good, and they just went and played.
We start the season with Michigan State at home and subsequently end with Michigan. So the Michigan game, not everybody remembers, we blocked a field goal.
What pressure on a young kid. 70,000 hostile people. It all comes down to Chris Cottle. It's blocked. It's blocked, and Arizona State's going to win the game. Scott Stephen made the block. Look at John Cooper, and this place is up for grabs. 12 seconds left. No timeouts for Michigan.
That's the shaky start to the season.
How do you tie Washington State? And that was just, you go in and you play Washington State, all respect to Washington State, but it should have been a win. It's amazing because being an Arizona State team, we had a lot of California players. And so whenever we play any team from California, it was as big of a rivalry for a lot of the guys as U of A was. And so for us to go to UCLA and just to go in there and just, because UCLA has this air about them, quite frankly, arrogance, just call it what it is. And so we went in there and we're like, oh, really? Okay, great. Let's see what we got.
I'll never forget after the USC game in the locker room, the joy, the celebration, the love for one another, and how we just grew. At that moment, we were like, we are on our way. We keep this up, we're on our way. Those two wins, I think, took us from being really confident to knowing we can do this.
To be able to say that you marched through LA to get to the Rose Bowl was a big, big thing. And when you beat UCLA or USC in LA, in anything, any sport, it's a big deal. But that was a big, big deal.
It's funny, that team that year, the 1986 season, which, 87 Rose Bowl, we had a team, I just remember being a team of, we had three different positions. You had, first team, second team, third team. Every team that we had out there, everybody was good. I mean, we had enough guys where our second team guys and our third team guys, they could start on any other team in the Pac-10 at the time. And I just remember being in a situation where if one guy was tired or got hurt or something, the next guy that came in, we never lost anything. So it was probably, out of all the teams I've ever played on, it was like the deepest team that I've ever been a part of, because just the talent level that we had, we never missed a beat. We put the second team guy in, the third team guy in, and it was just a deep team. And we had great coaching. I mean, the thing about it is, I tell folks all the time, we were blessed with coaches that made us believe that we would win. There was not one game that we played that year where we did not believe that we would win.
Turner Network Television presents Super Football Saturday Night. Tonight, it's a Pacific 10 matchup as the Golden Bears of California take on the 5th-ranked Arizona State Sun Devils.
A beautiful night in Tempe, Arizona. 72 degrees, a crowd upwards of 70,000 is expected as fifth-ranked Arizona State hosts Cal, and all the Sun Devils have to do tonight is win to clinch the Pac-10 title and advance to the Rose Bowl. Hello, everybody. I'm Mel Proctor along with Paul Horning. The Sun Devils got some help today because Stanford beat UCLA 28-23, and they are poised for a celebration here in Tempe.
Well, Mel, I'll tell you, there's two stories here tonight. First, you just touched on it. Stanford's upset over UCLA. That means if Arizona State can win tonight, and they're only 4-touchdown favorite tonight, they will go to the Rose Bowl for the very first time.
I remember us treating it like another week. You know, we knew in the back of our mind, if we win this game, we're in the Rose Bowl. But at the same time, it was business as usual.
It was one of those games that it was like, it's happening, period, done. We're there, we're going.
We didn't go into that game with any nerves. We went into that game, it was a business. It was a, you know, just keep on the track, do your assignment, follow the game plan, and we're going to win the game.
We didn't lose sight of what it was all about. You know, the thing is, yeah, we won a Pac-10 championship, but it wasn't about the Pac-10 championship. We're going to ride this thing as far as we can take it. You know, Pac-10 championship was just a part of the process to get to where we really want to go.
Hear them cheering again. We have the Arizona
Here's
fans.
your team, Mary.
You bet. The Pacific 10 Conference is represented today by the Arizona State University Sun Devils. These guys must be really hot to play as we welcome them to the Rose Bowl for their first time ever. Waving, smiling, cheering. Just think they'll be playing a team they've never played before anywhere in a stadium they've never been in before. But you know what? They're coming with a great record, 9 wins, only 1 loss and a tie, and we're going to be keeping an eye on these hard-hitting Sun Devils in their maroon jerseys as they meet the University of Michigan Wolverines. Sun Devils, incidentally, are coached by John Cooper.
Let's
and
listen
here's
to that
their
band.
marching band, you bet.
Colorful crowd here at the Rose Bowl today. The official attendance, 103,000 to see this 73rd game.
It's interesting when you talk about the Rose Bowl, you remember the game obviously, but as a player you remember a lot more about the locker room and the players and some of the funny things that happened. You know, it was very nice. Coach Cooper brought us over 10 days early and, you know, he said, hey, look, don't get in trouble, and for the most part everybody did a pretty good job of not getting too much trouble. We had 10 days and hung out in Southern California. It was great. And what you remember are the funny stories, you know, all the nicknames that everybody had, and, you know, Bucky and Yucky and all these different things. And I won't tell you who's who, but the guys will know. And the thing that stood out the most, I think, was standing with the players before we took the field and looking in their eyes and everybody looking out at that stadium and really just seeing more maroon than we thought, because on the buses coming in from our vantage point, our track to in, we saw mostly Michigan fans, and I was kind of shocked. I'm like, you know, where is everybody? Because that's one thing ASU had when we played in '86 season, you know, leading up to the '87 Rose Bowls. We had the best fans. They came out every game, supported us, and we walked in that stadium, boy, it wasn't 50-50. It was predominantly Sun Devil fans, and they went crazy. And I think it was just as much the fans' game as it was the players' game.
Skip McClendon, good friend of mine, we were sitting out there and we were just standing out there, and it's like, we've been playing for years, but I mean, to be in the Rose Bowl and look at all those people and listen to the majority of them were ASU fans. And like I said, the reverberation of the crowd was just so much, and we were just like, man, I am ready to play football today.
Fans were great. I mean, you're talking about when we played, being in that stadium every week, what, 70,000 plus in there. There was never an empty seat in that house. And then tonight when they're here, today when they're here, it's going to be just as great. But I mean, if you go back to the Rose Bowl day, that day in the stadium, I still have that picture in my weight room at home of the big picture of the Rose Bowl looking down at the crowd in there. And to see our fans there to cheer us on, and then without the fans, we couldn't have done it.
It was deafening. You know, usually when you get into playing mode, you hear nothing. You hear the cadences and everything, but the Rose Bowl was a little bit different. It was actually so loud that sometimes you couldn't hear.
The feeling was just, it's an unbelievable feeling. You get a rush when you think about it. It would be wonderful just to have a recording of the cheers. You can just play that over and over and it'll get you pumped up regardless of how you're feeling. But that thing was crazy, man. You look out and you see all the fans and you're like, man, we got the best fans in the world. These guys travel and they're deep, you know. Everywhere you look is ASU, 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 ASU. It's like, man, we packed 70,000 out and then we bring 60,000 with us on the road trip. And that's why it's easy to fall in love with Arizona State University.
Rolling in there, and I'm sure for the Michigan fans especially, for them to look over and go, wow. Right? I mean, we were well represented.
Every hotel you went to, the band went around and played out like around the pool areas of the various hotels. We did the pep rally out at the junior college, and hundreds of people showed up. That essentially was a walk-through rehearsal for the band. But here are all of these fans that just want to see the band perform. And noise, it was just a riot.
The stadium, as you know Pasadena and you know the Rose Bowl, it is a very historic place. Not the most comfortable place to sit, but a very historic place. And everybody was very excited. And as the game went on, we just yelled and screamed. And there were people, you know, 2 rows over, 3 rows over. Everybody all of a sudden knew everybody.
You know, we couldn't go to the game, so my whole neighborhood, we were all about, 40-some years old, 40. And so, well, I went out and gave me an excuse to buy throw a whole wide 36-inch TV, which weighed about 1.5 tons. And we put that in there and then invited the whole neighborhood up. We were all avid sports fans, and we even had 2 fans in there that were married. They were both U of A grads, but even they acquiesced that day to come up and cheer on. So we had a nice party and everyone just went nuts.
The thing that I remember is that moment when we were on the buses and we drove up to the Rose Bowl. The reality of we are here, we're getting ready to do this, we're gonna watch this team play.
We got to fly, of course, with the football team, and just the energy, the energy with the coaches and the team and the parents and the fans. It was just all so surreal, and I felt like we were truly part of something magical, something really different.
Remember that ASU going to the Rose Bowl, this was the first time for them to go. It was the first time for any Arizona school to go. And that combination of things put such excitement on this campus that everybody, that's all they talked about the week before. And that's all that seemed to go on campus up until the day that everybody took off for the Rose Bowl.
Defensively for Arizona State, and this is one of the better defenses in the nation. Skip McClendon was a freshman at Northwestern. Sean Patterson, he has a bad knee. Larry McLaughlin will see several defensive men at that nose guard position. There are the linebackers. Scott Stephen twice and all Pac-10 number 90. And Jeff Van Raphorst, number 10, the quarterback. And here's the man that will operate with him. Channing Williams and Darrell Harris. Harris rushed for nearly 1,000 yards on the year. Aaron Cox is very dangerous, number 84. Bruce Hill is the other wide receiver. Jeff Gallimore, Stein Koss will share the tight end position via the All-America. McDaniel, Thomas, Kalis, and Warren, a big offensive line.
We knew that we had the endurance. And they're a big team, they're big guys. They had Jumbo John Elliott, they had all those guys that all they did was talk about their teams, and we were the guys that nobody knew.
We were excited that it was Michigan. We had no problem. We didn't care who it was, to be candid with you. We really didn't care.
Van Raphorst has a man open. It's Aaron Cox and a first down at the Michigan 45.
I remember they were resting on a knee as we were running the line of scrimmage, and they had a look in their eye like, who are these guys? And we just kept going after them and going after them.
Michigan was so well coached, we knew exactly in every situation what they were going to do. So there were never going to be any real surprises, and that's a real advantage. So it was our guys against their guys one-on-one, and obviously we felt real good about that. After about the second series or so, Randall McDaniel came off from the sideline, and Coach Freeman and I are standing there. And he said to Coach Freeman, he says, he was laughing, and Coach Freeman said, what are you laughing? He says, these guys aren't anything, we got this. And I knew from that point on, it was going to be a good day.
From a predominantly partisan Arizona State crowd. They have an estimated 40,000, but I would guess more than that here compared to what looks to be about 10,000 Michigan fans.
Have we ever, and this is our 8th Rose Bowl game, seen them have to stop play on the field for crowd noise? I don't think we have, Dick.
When you look at the yellow pom-poms, they stretch from one end zone across the far side all the way to the other end zone. That's almost all Sun Devil territory. Now in college ball, that quarterback can take, in the words of the officials, forever if he wants.
As we look at all of those yellow pom-poms being waved, I'll bet there are some real stories out there about how people went about trying to get tickets for this game, because you got to know that the Arizona State people say they could have sold this whole stadium out.
Apparently at Wisconsin, they delayed the game almost a half an hour before Michigan finally engineered a play. Now they tone down, and with a score of 15-6, 5.5 minutes left in the first half. Harbaugh still reluctant.
He's going to wait him out. There he goes.
Yeah, these crowds are a sophisticated crowd. They know when to cheer.
You know, one of the things that really stands out in that game is everybody always talks about what happened with Jim Harbaugh. You know, that he had to call timeout in a neutral field, and it was, you know, that was just, it was comical on the sidelines. And I think it was more of a mental timeout than it was actually noise, that they needed to kind of get their heads wrapped around what was going on. But what really stood out to me wasn't that play as much as it was when Michigan scored and they went for that two-point conversion.
Oh, and a quick two-point play.
And they've got it.
I actually looked at some of the guys on the sideline and said, we're fine. And they said, we're down. I said, we're fine. I said, why? I said, because they just embarrassed our defense. And defense was the strength of that team, no doubt about it. We were just loaded with athletic talent and great guys, but they're so competitive. When they got embarrassed, you knew that they were going to shut them down.
As a captain of the defense, we went out there, and Jim and the Michigan Wolverines, they moved the ball on us pretty easy on the first try, and then they went for a two-point conversion. They had no respect for us. So once again, I was talking with Skip McClendon, and we were sitting back, and I said, man, these guys don't respect us. They really think we're soft and stuff. So I said, I'm killing everything moving. And he said, I'm right there with you. And boy, it was after that, the Wolverines saw what Sun Devils were all about.
He knows what he's doing. He's not going to lose his poise. And gives to Morris, wrapped up at the 9-yard line by Skip McClendon from Detroit, Michigan. He wanted to be a Wolverine. Harbaugh throwing from deep in his own end, going for McMurtry. And batted away at the last second by Eric Allen. Harbaugh lofting that one some 50 yards plus in the air.
Things started to change. You saw that little sparkle in our eyes. You saw that little step on the sideline saying, okay, this is where we start coming into our own. And we came back.
We went into the locker room going, we're going to beat these guys. They were in the locker room going, these guys won't stop. They keep coming at us.
One of our defensive ends, Jim Reynoso said, the game is over. He said, this game is over, we're winning.
We knew we could stop them. We started scoring.
And then the whole second half was nothing but ASU.
And Grant touchdown to Bruce Hill.
Michigan had a big line. They were hoping that they were able to wear us down, but since we rotated the D-line so much, they were fresh, even towards the end of the game.
And I remember the fact that we're sitting there, I'm looking across I mean, the first quarter I went against Jumbo John Elliott, and he's huge. I mean, I was 265 pounds, he was 325 pounds, whatever that is. So it's just total outsized. But I remember going into the second half, looking at his face was dread. It was just nothing but, oh my gosh, you got those little red marks on your cheeks. He's all hot and bothered. We're from Arizona. We were running in 110 degrees. This is nothing. We were like deer. We could run all day long and never break a sweat.
Scott Stephen, number 90, and Sate Sapolu.
Our conditioning made a big difference. I mean, we were big on conditioning. We weren't the biggest team out there, but we were a lot of strong guys and a lot of fast guys. So our game was predicated on speed, and I don't think Michigan had ever seen a team as quick as we were, and it worked out for us in the second half in particular because they were starting to gas.
You could tell when they had the punt, running off the field, the offensive line, and like I said, the quarterback, you could see the frustration. I mean, Michigan 3 and out a couple of times. That was unheard of.
They're, human just like us. We were not intimidated at all from Michigan. Even though they came out and scored on us soon, we didn't lose our faith in the sidelines. We didn't lose our confidence. We kept talking to one another, and the momentum started changing.
There are so many things that transpired during that season that built their confidence. But the one thing that Coach Cooper had instilled in these guys is that toughness, and they knew with the talent that they had, they're in better condition than anybody we play. They're going to be better prepared than anybody we play. And that being said, there wasn't anybody in the country that they felt that they couldn't beat. And you got to give credit to John and, of course, to these players. As talented as they were, they bought into it, and they're so competitive.
Talani Wright was the man who forced Morris back into his own backfield, and this time it's Sean Patterson, a senior, thought he might not play, and he's playing against the...
Where we're at mentally, we knew that we had put in work to get where we were at. So we didn't really care who they lined up. You could have brought anybody out that day, and they were going to get the business handed to them. It's one thing Cooper used to always say, that they're not going to outwork us, and they're not going to be stronger than us.
Eating the clock.
Now they're going to have to call time here, run into a penalty. There it is.
Harbaugh. Or is Harbaugh saying he can't hear again? I think Harbaugh is saying he couldn't hear again.
Our offense that day was efficient, not spectacular. We ran the ball decently, we threw the ball effectively and efficiently, we managed the clock. What really was the coup de grace, what really was the pinnacle of that game is what our defense did. And as an offensive lineman, I'm sitting there watching our defense physically beat up Michigan and control the tempo of the game. I don't remember how many 3 and outs that they had, but when they made plays, it was always in front. Nothing over the top, nothing deep, nothing big.
It all came down to that last drive. And this is just one of those moments again that I just remember because we had to stop them. The score here, put them down by 1, or put us up by 1, them down by 1. If they went for 2, they could win. So they can't score. Field goal, great, but field goal doesn't do anything, so they know they're going to go for it. So we get in there, and we're all looking, and I just remember everybody on the line, the defensive line, we're looking at each other like, now's it. It's it. This is the drive. This is the game-deciding drive.
Intercepted. Robbie Boyd for Arizona State, and it's a Sun Devil maroon and gold across the way.
That play probably would not have happened if, I have to give credit to, obviously, my teammates. I mean, especially the one guy in particular in that play, Eric Allen. I don't know, a lot of times folks may not see that whole play develop. When we got out of the huddle, I remember Eric Allen coming over to me saying, Avi, watch the flat, watch the tailback out in the flat. And he told me that, and I was kind of like waving him off. I was like, Eric, I'm nervous. I was like, hopefully it's the last play of the game. And then after that, he was right. I mean, Eric is, all-conference player. Now a guy's been in the NFL for, had his glory in the NFL, is probably going to be an NFL Hall of Famer. And so I knew that guy, he knew what he was talking about. So it was like one of those moments I said, you know what, okay, Eric knows what he's talking about. Make sure you listen and take his lesson that he's trying to teach you here. And so greatest play for me of my life in a football uniform. And so to have 103,000 fans there, that was, it doesn't get any better than that.
Nobody had any concept that we were going to win that game until the last 2 minutes. And I can remember standing on the field during the last couple of minutes of the game, standing there thinking to myself, we're going to win this. We're actually going to win this.
Yeah, I remember when the game was, maybe there was a minute left and there was no doubt we were going to win. Just everybody, high-fiving each other and hugging each other and just enjoying that moment together. And then taking pictures of all the gold pom-poms, being waved and just the sheer exhilaration that everybody was expressing at that time.
It was exciting just because everyone's happy and exciting. It's kind of emotional too, to be honest. Growing up in a Sun Devil family, watching my parents especially basically crying because it meant so much to them. It was more than just we won the Rose Bowl, and that was exciting, right? That was awesome, but it meant a lot more to I think a lot of people in this community, my parents especially. So for me to be there with them and all their friends, and everyone was just crying and hugging and whatnot, and I was just fortunate to be there, and it was a lot of fun though.
The best part about being in the Rose Bowl was I was a member of the marching band. You can't get a better fan experience than being in the middle of a huge marching band, in the middle of a great big huge number of fans, cheering, so excited to be there. The atmosphere was electric. It's just something that you can't even imagine. When that many people are excited, they come together, they're cheering for their team. Absolutely the best day. Terrific. And something that I'll remember forever.
This guy right here won the game for us. Jeff, and our defense. You can't say enough about our defense, particularly in the second half.
You've come a long way since starting the season unranked, Coach.
Well, we have. We beat an excellent football team today. This is a great Michigan football team, and we had to play our best ball game. Like I said, we played defense like we did in the middle of the season, and our offense got on track. The offensive line gave Jeff plenty of time to throw the football. And greatest victory I've ever been associated with, no question about it.
And you both gave us a terrific game. Thank you both very much.
Congratulations.
Coach Cooper, Coach here. Hi, say hi to the Whitneys. All back in Ohio, my relatives. Yeah! Back upstairs, eh?
We talked about the fact that there is an opportunity in this kind of showcase to really lift your rating on a national basis. Arizona State team has not had the kind of national exposure that Jim Harbaugh has had. I'll tell you, it's been a great day for Arizona State here.
Winning the Rose Bowl in 1987 took Arizona State football to a different level, and we started to get better recruits. We became a little more well-known. The Pac-10 foes gave us a little more respect. It was a great moment for the program. I remember seeing us, they had an article about us in Sports Illustrated. I'll never forget that, and I was like, wow, it was a big deal. So I don't know if we had one before that, but it was interesting to read about us in Sports Illustrated.
I think it did change ASU forever. I think it gave us new ideas and new ways to reach new heights. And not just on the field, but academically as well, because when you reach that type of status, that type of excellence, I think that just permeates the entire campus.
When the clock ticked down to the zeros, I was right on the sidelines and I started walking to the center of the field with everybody, kind of a walk/jog and with our hands in the air, and it was dark, the sun had dropped, and it was just, it was a rumble of noise that you just, and some energy that you just felt that it was about to erupt, and it was an unbelievable feeling.
We just stormed on the field, hugging whoever was nearby, just jumping up and down and celebrating.
I'm sitting there and Coach Cooper is there, and we lift him up on our shoulders and so forth. And I don't know why, but it just, the clock ran down and we were there, and all of a sudden he was right there by me. And I'm like, I didn't plan it. And all of a sudden, boom, all right, we pick him up. And it was like, and somebody took a picture of that. And I'm like, now I got a picture to save that one moment. but it was really just an incredible family moment where from fans to coaches to everybody that supports us was able to just enjoy in that victory.
And it was just this infectious feeling through the sidelines that that pulled the crowd onto the sidelines with us, and it was a great, overwhelming, emotional feeling.
As a kid, you know, the Rose Bowl was the granddaddy of them all. You sit there and you always watch the Rose Bowl. So to be in the Rose Bowl and then to actually win it, yeah, it took a couple of days. It really didn't hit me until I went home for the holiday. That, you know, my friends was like, man, you Rose Bowl champs, what's up?
I just remember looking up the stands and finding my dad and pointing to my dad, and just, it was a great time, great memory. It was a good time in my life.
When you get to the culmination of a dream, it's really a surreal moment. A lot of people talk about, you know, what does it feel like to win a Rose Bowl, and I think probably the closest that you'll ever come to it is when you're a parent, you know, and you see your kids, and just the total joy that you get watching your kids and realizing that, you know, you're going to be a dad, and the joy that comes over you is very similar. It's hard to express. People know it when they experience it. And I think the nice thing really about that win, though, it was a great win for the team. It was a great win for the program. It was a great win for Tempe, for Arizona. People were very supportive all year long, and I look at it like we all won, but to just try to describe it is sometimes hard.
You know, I came in with this class that played in the Rose Bowl, the Rose Bowl championship team. And I came in at the time that all those guys that were seniors and juniors, they all basically came in 82 and 83 when I did. So I had a chance to see them grow, but more importantly, I think when you saw them as young players, they were very, very talented. And the thing that had transpired from 85 and 86 when Coach Cooper got here, when you have that much talent, and then you add a toughness and attention to detail that John Cooper brought, and it was a hard transition for these players, but they had to mature and grow up, and that's what John did with his football team, and that's why we won a championship. We got the talent, and John did a great job of putting their face to the fire, making it hard on them, knowing full well it's going to pay off with a championship.
I think the leadership on this team, coming from the players, was pretty much different than any team I'd ever seen. And the closeness was evident anytime they did anything. And I think there was a common bond among them. And I think the fact that there was no great star on this team, or perceived star, really helped them. And they got along so well together. I don't know in the day of age of social media if that would happen.
The family that you have, that your football family, it's just a different deal. I mean, we've never lost touch. Some of these guys we haven't seen in 20, 30 years, and you come back together, you pick up where you left off. I mean, these are guys that you could call in the middle of the night if you needed something. These guys would be there for you. And I got to tell you, the camaraderie that you have there, nothing comes close to it in the real world. There's just, the locker room, the practices, and the things that you've been through together, fighting together, you're in school together, everybody's working to be a great student athlete, and you're working to be a great football player and competitor, and so you learn a lot of life lessons together, and you spend time together as a family, and that's what it's all about.
We are the first and only Arizona team to go to the Rose Bowl and to win the Rose Bowl.
We win the game, and everybody thought we were going to lose. Arizona State playing Michigan. No one expected us to win that game. No one but ourselves. And to come out with that victory and accomplish that was such a great moment. So our fans being there to root us on, they got to see it, and they got to see the first team to ever go there, first team to win it, which was great.
I love being the only team that's ever won the Rose Bowl, but I'm looking forward to a lot more of ASU squads going to the Rose Bowl and duplicating that feat.
Oh, wow. To be part of history I never thought in my wildest dream as a little kid, I always thought, yeah, you know, it'd be nice one day to play in the Rose Bowl. But to find yourself playing in the Rose Bowl, again, in front of 103,000 fans and a worldwide TV audience, it just doesn't get better than that. And that was, I say this all the time, because, you know, prior to having kids, the best moment of my life was playing in the Rose Bowl.
Being the first to ever do anything in the world of sports is tremendous, particularly at this level when we're in the Pac-10 at that time. Now it's the Pac-12, of course, but just to have all of that anticipation, the opportunity to represent your state in the Rose Bowl and get to play there. So many great players have come before us and had great, tremendous teams, but that was clearly a special moment to step on that field and see the roses all around the stadium and the insignia of the Rose Bowl. It was such a great moment in all of our lives and kind of propelled a lot of us to go on to bigger and better things as far as the National Football League is concerned.
That was the granddaddy of them all. That was the pinnacle of football. To be a Rose Bowl champion was like being a national champion, basically. It meant everything. And the fact that we went through that and went in there and beat them. I had a chance to meet Jim Harbaugh. I went back and spent a week with their team and just kind of clicked with them a little bit. And Jim introduced himself, and I said, no, Jim, I've actually met you.
I get kind of emotional over it because that's something that you will never, no one can take away from you. You can pass that along to your kids, your family. It represents pride, pride in ourselves, pride in hard work we accomplished, pride in representing the school. I think we were positive. I think it shows dedication and hard work that we had to go through to prevail in this game. And we had a great group of coaches, great group of players, all the way down to the medical staff, the weight trainers. It was just an honor to represent ASU in this Rose Bowl.
It was, other than my wedding, it's right there at the top. The group that I played with, I mean, we had that nickname called the Homeboys. All of us, the starting line for that year, all of us were from Arizona, from here. We all grew up, born and raised here. So we all grew up watching ASU ourselves, wanting to be part of that when we were little kids, and then to be on the team and do what we did at the Rose Bowl. I mean, there's no bigger moment. And so it was just a great time for ourselves and our families. But I mean, it's kind of hard to put a finger on it still today. I mean, it's like I said, no one expects us to do it.
When we had an opportunity to go prime time, we've always became prime time.
When people introduce me and they, oh, you know, this time in the Pro Bowl and this and that, and I always remind them, never forget, you know, the Rose Bowl champion. And that's critical and important because you can say to yourself and my kids and whoever you're talking to is you started at one place in 1983 and you were able to continue to climb and get better and more people kind of bought in and you're able to finish the deal. And that's really critical and important for people to understand. It may not be automatic. It may not just take 1 year. This was a 3-year process that we all had to kind of scrape and claw and sometimes it was a little luck, sometimes it was just the hard work that you have to put in, and the win signifies that the work you did and the effort you put in was all for the right reason, because we were able to not just go and play, but we were able to win. So that says a lot, and it really means that being accountable to each other, those things are still critically important when we're talking about being at work or being at play. You know, finding a way to battle through all the obstacles and hurdles and eventually get it done. So it's still very, very important. Something I think about a lot, particularly during college football. And when we're talking about bowls and playoffs, it always comes up. And I'm so happy to have been able to play in the Rose Bowl and win it.
I know this generation is the pitchfork, but my generation was the Sun Devil. And that's what we hang our hat on, is that we represent that Sun Devil to the best of our ability.
What makes the championship unique is There's only one number one. My dad used to tell me that all the time when I was younger. We'd be talking and he'd be sitting on the porch and he would talk about, working hard for things you want or whatever. And he'd always say, boy, there's only one number one. So you have to go for that. So it was like when we won the Pac-10 championship, you think about it and you say, man, this will never be erased. Here it is 30 years later, and we're talking about when we won the Pac-10 championship. 10 more years from now, we'll be 10 years older. We'll be talking about when we won the championship. 30 years from now, we might be, burying a loved one or one of our brothers, and we'll talk about that championship. So the thing is, when you win a championship, I don't care whether it's in hopscotch or jacks, or whatever you're doing, a championship, you just can't put a price on it, for one. And the other side of a championship is, once you feel that, I get choked up when I see people win big championships on TV now. Because I know the feeling. When you see that guy or that gal crying, you say, you know what, everything they went through to get there, and then you achieve it. It's like that, you say, man, this is a dream, but I'm actually living it. It's my wish that everybody can experience something like that. Because it's a feeling, you really can't put a saying on the feeling, you just have to experience it.
We talked about dreams, and I asked John Cooper, I said, is this a dream come true for you? He said, hey, when you thought as long about being a head coach as I have, you get a chance, you look to get into a game like this. He said, here we are, this is a dream already, and this is the capper to go out of here victorious. On the far sideline, he's been exhorting those fans. They don't need much help. They all have to be bursting with pride.
The Pac-10 has won again, 6 in a row. Only 2 Big Ten wins since 1970, the final 22-15.